A wild creative heart, Mel is a published author and poet, a lifelong learner, a natural connector of people and ideas. Laughter, storytelling, growing awareness, and the shared experience of navigating life's struggles are central to Mel's way of being, for sure. Their work is rooted in art and practice of being present with more of what is, inviting others into spaces of authenticity, compassion, and collective growth. Welcome.
Record, please.
I'm sorry, say again?
Record.
Thank you. Thank you for the reminder.
So good morning, everybody. Today we're going to begin and embark on the first of a series to explore the idea of multipartiality. If you find yourself at the end of this offering wanting to know more, I would point you actually backward to two past talks. The first one is the talk that I did in June called Wild Geese, which looks at what it means to invite more of yourself into existence and what it means to hold that intention of a world that may tell you not to exist. The second one is the restorative practices presentation that I offered in September. This one builds and is an offering and a primer that can help make multipartiality, make more connections for you in this talk of multipartiality. So what is multipartiality? First, I want to talk about it in the context of facilitation. So multipartiality in the context of facilitation, holding space with other people. It's a facilitation technique that refers to the practice of giving equal attention to multiple identities and experience, especially those that may have been left out and historically and currently unheard. This approach balances power, disparities, and enhances learning and understanding by bringing out perspective other than the dominant narrative and naturalizing them. So facilitators draw from tools of deliberate reflection, intentional weaving of possibilities, attuned empathy, open questions, truth statements, to both challenge the space and also bring out different perspectives. Cultivate the capacity to hold the perspectives and ideas that are different than your own and gain something new in that dialogue. How I would say this simply is that we call this, or I call this, wisdom weaving work, where we start to bring more awareness into the space and we start to grow our awareness of all that's there. Some of it will feel like gratitude and some of it will feel like grief as we meet the reality that we are connected and there's nothing that can break us. So again, I would say that sometimes the awareness that there is oneness, that there's connection between us, sometimes that will feel like gratitude and other times that will feel like grief. We grow our capacity for that and we grow our capacity to meet that. So today, as we begin the first of this series, to explore this, I want to offer first a translation. So you might have heard that and go, I have no idea what this person's talking about. Awesome. Let me offer you translation and context into the practice of unity. To translate into unity, there is a truth that you know. You know that there's many people, many paths, and many people on those paths in different locations. The question then in this context would be, do I have what it takes to locate myself on that path, to see as many paths as possible, even if they're not my own, and be like, yes, that's also there. That's also there. And to uphold room and space for those paths towards living that expanded life, to growing our consciousness and living into the expanded life. And that takes capacity then to be with something different than our own path. The moment we say things like, I couldn't imagine, pause. Many people, many paths. When we can figure out the truths and the truth statements we uphold together, we will find ourselves in the work of doing just that. If we waver, if we want more people on our path, we will call that inclusion and we will miss the point. The simplest example I have is maybe we all agree that the side dish is carrot and peas. Yes, carrots and peas. And that's what we have. And somebody comes along and they're eating a salad and we go, oh, like, what is that? And they say it's a side dish. And we say, no, side dishes are carrots and peas. Inclusion with that disintegrated understanding then would be that we would spend our time and energy asking what barriers we need to remove to help include this person in eating carrots and peas. That is what inclusion oftentimes looks like. But you probably want carrots and peas. You just don't know enough about carrots and peas yet. So there's a very big difference, Loretta Ross says, between a movement and a cult. A movement, many people, many paths, many people on those paths, means then we honor that and we honor those people on that path still towards that collective, still upholding for each other many paths, many people on that path towards exploration of spirituality, towards love, towards care. We know what we're working towards. Many ways, many side dishes. How do we hold space for those? Still clear, though, on where we're going. Still clear on what it is and isn't. So we find ourselves then in a starting place. And I wanted to offer the 4 sort of themes that'll come up throughout this series. And I also highlighted the one I'm going to spend time on today. So multipartiality practitioners hold a lot of qualities and skills. And for me, I've been studying this now for approximately 5 years, and I'm still learning. So I wanted to bring something into this series that would help bring it into connection. And so the 4 multipartiality practitioner qualities that I want to explore in these talks together is 1, the capacity to listen and hold space that's bigger than the experience. And that's what we're going to focus on today. The second is capacity to cultivate levity in struggle, focusing on themes of delight and gratitude and what it means to hold and lean into those spaces, really the videos that were just being shown. What does it look like to actually do that work of holding care and compassion in the face of challenges? The third one will be the capacity to make mistakes, learn, and continue to show up. Turns out that sounds easy when you put it in a sentence and challenging when you put it into practice. So we'll spend some time there. And the fourth one is capacity to draw on practice and then tools for reflection. Some of those qualities are pausing, listening, curiosity, notice, wonder, presence, delight. I know I'm in good company because I know that Unity cares about meditation, about prayer, about pause. And that is again, a practice that we employ. We can practice anything. So what are we doing consciously? So I offer these for you just so that you can consider those other themes, no matter what theme we're talking about in the series. Now, I also want to offer the first piece of multipartiality practitioners' work. And that is that you may read those and say, actually, I'm not sure if I want that. And part of multipartiality and meeting people on those paths is that you'd pause there then. And you wouldn't judge yourself for that. You'd say, what would be between me and wanting to listen or wanting to hold bigger space than the experience that is there? And meet that. What would be between me wanting to grow my capacity towards lightness in the struggle? What is there? And when we meet that instead, we can grow authentically We start to intrinsically make those changes rather than acting as if outside of ourselves without that inner link. We need to meet those pieces and parts of ourselves. Another piece that's key to me that I want to touch on today is the idea of mentorship. And I want to thank 3 mentors today: Julie Friesen, Jason Spencer, Kate Crozier from Community Justice Initiatives. And why I bring this up is because it's relevant to the multi-part journey, and it's relevant to the space that we find ourselves in. And one of the pieces of multi-partiality and multi-part practitioners is the ability to see that you are receiving, that these people around you that you are with casually and deeply are offering you wisdom, words, support, and care. And that is something we're meant to hold with open hand, and also to see the ways for which we are giving and offering and supporting. That posture of connectedness has changed my life. It means that we start to balance that space of ego, because I see who and how I'm being held up and supported, and I see who and how I am giving. And I will offer that it is the coolest thing ever to see the same person on the end of receiving and giving, that these are not different people always on one side or the other. And those mentors that I just mentioned have taught me to see myself, have also said, thank you for growing me. Thank you for sharing what you have back. The idea that some people know and then we learn from them, and some people need to know and we teach them, is really disintegrated understanding of what mentorship is. And mentorship is such a beautiful thing, because I think about mentors, including ones I've had for 20 years, who just must believe a whole lot in me, as they stay around and they offer what I can to see me grow, trusting this one thing, that I'll offer back, that I'll pay it forward. So when we think about multi-partiality practitioners and this idea of holding bigger spaces, I offer that for you to consider also. So at its root, what we are talking about, I like when things can get real simple and real practical. When space is smaller than the experience, that will result in pain and disconnection. It's that simple. When the space is smaller than the experience, it will result in pain and disconnection. And why that's important is because what I mean to say is this: if you've not given yourself room to be who you are, if you are not sure what's going on here, your space will be smaller than most of the experiences and people that will come. And to that degree, we create a level of disconnection that's self-fulfilling. It's also in the ways that I may say, oh, the world just keeps changing and I can't keep up with all these new things going on, rather than saying, oh my gosh, thank you for telling me about yourself. Thank you for letting me know who you are. You don't need to know about all those things to change your posture in that moment from that type of answer that closes the space to thank you for telling me I'm so happy you're here. Thank you for letting me know something I didn't know before. And as we stretch the space within ourselves to be more capable of meeting the experiences in front of us, we find ourselves more connected. We find ourselves more capacity rich in those connections. For me, I offer a story of my own journey. I was in the closet, I was working in a workplace, and I met this colleague, and I was hiding out in my office, let's be honest. And I would have said I felt disconnected, and I didn't feel like people understood me. And I also saw the ways now, only in hindsight, that I was creating my own sense of isolation and loneliness. Slowly, though, I meet this person. Now, there's a key piece to this story. This person seemed nothing like me. They appeared as a cis, heterosexual, monogamous human, nothing similar to myself. And I found myself wanting to share more of my story. And so I did. And this person seemed to hold the capacity to create space big, huge space, an ability to meet me as I arrived. They seemed capable of holding challenging emotions that would come up. They seemed capable of letting me have my story without taking it over. They had capacity. And that's where that the pieces of the 4 pieces come up, is that when I look at what that person offered, I look at what capacity rich people do in the world. And sometimes we can think it's about the same experience. We bond because we have the same experience. No, we connect because, quite simply, the person in front of us has done their work to be able to create space that's bigger than the experience that they're meeting, and to grow into that, or to open instead of close. That's simple. So I want to keep it that simple. It's not, I didn't say it was easy. I said the practice is clear. Do I create bigger space and expand myself to meet the experience and the people and the things in front of me, or do I close? So to attain knowledge is to add things every day. To attain wisdom is to remove things every day. If the response to what role does love, respect, care, dignity, worth, relationship play in what we're doing, if the response is, oh, like, yeah, we know, and I've met that, dismissal, or this circumstance, this person doesn't deserve something different. If that's our response, what I call that is beyond or before values. Stop. That is the first point where we know that we are in insanity. Insanity is where the things we say we hold dearly, the values we say we hold, somehow don't apply to this or us in that moment. And I will offer this. I have found greater peace in my heart, in my life. A, being myself and owning that, whatever that may look like. And B, being a values-based decision maker and process person. Because I got to live with myself. When nobody else is there anymore, do I like how I showed up there? Do I know what was going on for me? Do I know what was driving me? So many times the thinking, feeling, and acting parts of us are deciding for the collective without us bringing those back together. So one piece is really loud, and all of a sudden we are making decisions based on that one piece for ourselves. Powerful decision-making, empowered decision-making requires us to be able to know a multitude of what is going on for us. Multiple things that are there, present in the room for ourselves only right now. I'm not even talking about group dynamics today. We are talking about growing the self to be a person of space that's bigger than experience. So if you find yourself saying, yeah, we know, dismissal, or hearing that from another when we're saying, hey, can I ask how awareness, love, respect, dignity, worth, relationship, or care is showing up right now? Those have been painful places because I thought maybe it doesn't have a role to play. Maybe I'm the one that's off base. And so what I figured out is maybe I am, that's fine. Maybe it's naivety, I'm okay with that. But I want to live a life where these practices hit the pavement and they hold up in favorable and unfavorable circumstances. And so if we say our values don't apply when things get tough, then that's our work. We need to stop and we need to go back until we're able to integrate our values and hold them and figure out what a path forward where we bring those values with us looks like. I want to put it another way. The statement, I can feel and still choose. I put the website there for We Ali, which created this sort of nervous system ecosystem that understands how we interact together and what a nervous system dysregulation can look like. But at its core, they say this, I can feel and still choose. So when you ask, hey, what are you looking for within? You're looking for this capacity within you that A, can feel and recognize those feelings, and B, can find your choicefulness in that. That's where you're able to be responsive to your feeling and your choice. And those choices will be challenging, and we're going to touch on that in a moment. It is boundary work for sure. In multipartiality facilitation, and we'll talk more about this in future talks, it would be that I am capable of holding a posture like this in a space with other people that says, you can feel however you feel and still choose. You can get up, you can leave, you can sit down, you can lean in, you can address that thing in front of you, or you could say, honestly, I don't know how to address this level of anger right now, so I'm going to know it's there and I'm going to hold it. That is a powerful place to be in. So this posture in group facilitation, in community development, in movement, in modeling, it's people who are able to say, you can feel and still choose. We can feel and still choose. I can feel and still choose. That is a powerful place. So when we talk about oppressive spaces or spaces that do not have the capacity, it's just simply knowing, oh, we make space like this. Most of the experiences will exist outside of that space. We make space like this. It will be able to hold those experiences, but we will have to learn how to feel hard things and still move our arms open. That is the exact opposite of what the world teaches us to do. So where do we find ourselves then? In a very, very interesting, painful, challenging, joyful place. And I will offer that I would have said it was just a painful, challenging place until I started to really apply boundaries that allow me to have an inner world, feelings, wants, needs, and desires, and figure out what those are. So I would have just said it was challenging and scary before. Now I say it is liberating and wonderful and challenging also. So boundaries, put simply, this is what is okay and not okay. So when we remove punitive approaches, we will meet the heavily multipartial and dimensional world of natural consequences. And what that looks like is I think about it as multidimensional, and it requires the person to actually be there and to be able to continue to respond and to do something differently each time. Again, back towards center of self and that alignment. So the first thing that we need in boundaries is to be able to say, I know myself and I'm continuing to know myself, and I have practices that keep me moving toward knowing myself. I practice looking at the many parts of me toward ownership and response. I know what I want and need and what is and isn't okay. I occupy my body and I want other people to occupy theirs. We have great data that tells us to leave our body all the time. The world calls us. I got carried away there. Oh, I wasn't even in the room. We have so much language that invites us into distraction and activation. Why? Because you're actually easier to control when you're not in your body. That's simple. So much easier to control. We let that sit with us. Oh, I don't know if I love that feeling. The second piece of boundaries work is I know how to communicate what is okay and not okay. And I want others to communicate what is okay and not okay. And I put hands with a flower there because this is the Brene Brown work, soft front, strong back. Our boundaries, we'll know the difference between our boundaries and walls because there's a softness that exists with boundaries. There's almost a level of grief work I would offer too. Hey, this wouldn't be what I would hope, and it's what I need based on what I'm interacting with right now. Now, the third piece, this piece is key for multi-partiality practitioners and people who want to hold big spaces. And it's harder than heck. And I can even feel the activation in my body as I run more and more into this piece. I know how to follow through when what I said isn't respected. I can differentiate between boundaries and armor. I want other people to follow through on their boundaries. Now, this is challenging because we can confuse requests and boundaries. A simple request would be, hey, I need you to stop yelling at me. It's not okay and it needs to stop. It's important to know that that's a request and not a boundary. That is asking for a behavior change in somebody else. A boundary is, if it happens again that you get back into that rage state, you can find yourself in it and you're screaming at me, I'm going to leave immediately. And what I know about myself is that it takes me about 4 days to come back into my body. So I'm going to be tending to my nervous system and not responding to you during that time, because that's what I'm going to need when I meet rage. And then you follow through and you do it. And you do it whether the person in front of you is stomping and screaming, is giving you all sorts of data of why you're not loyal or why you don't care, or all of those other things. And you stop and you tend to yourself. And then in multi-part space, you're doing that in a room. Whew. So we're not moving forward because we don't have the quality of care that we said we were going to uphold. So we don't just move forward through that. We do something else, and we can talk about that. But right now, think about what it would be like for you to say, I follow through. Now, my anchor for myself, adapted from Glenys Doyle's words, my anchor is, I will not abandon myself again. The people who love me will not ask me to abandon myself. When I'm setting my boundaries, that's where I go. Sometimes I feel like, there we go. So Brene Brown says, it is not fear that gets in the way of us being brave with our lives and our work, it's armor. Everyone is afraid. It's okay to be afraid. What is dangerous is the armor that we reach for to protect ourselves when we're afraid, and how that armor moves us away from love, connection, and our values. I think the hardest work is constantly being aware of what the armor is, meaning what I am grabbing for when I'm afraid, want to protect myself and my ego, and how heavy that shit is. At some point, I had to wear it because it was survival for me growing up. This is the developmental milestone when the universe pulls you close and says, I'm not fucking around anymore. I gave you gifts. Choosing to not grow in them is not benign. There are consequences for that, and your armor is getting in the way. I do not mind me a little Brene Brown or straight talk because it jolts us. Before we go into meditation, I want to offer you a few postures, and I actually would invite you to play in modeling them with me as it feels comfortable for you. You don't have to. Remember, I get to choose. I can feel and choose. I can feel a lot of feelings about this suggestion, and I can feel them and I can choose if I participate or not. If you'd like to, I want you to put your arms out like this. And I want you to activate for a moment what it feels like to be in fight or flight. We're not doing this. I'm not going there. I'm leaving. We're not even going to connect anymore. Feel that fight feeling. Feel that flight feeling. Now, if you would like to play in it, feel what arms around head and heart feel like. Fawning, pleasing, submitting, protecting. You will never come that close again to me, to my mind, to my heart. I'm not letting you in. Just tell me who you want me to be, and I'll be that. I keep safe by being what you want, by meeting what you need. Now freeze, fragile. This one, we turn away. And I want you to think for a moment what it means to be turned away. And I'm only looking back enough so that I don't mess with your ability to hear me. But stay turned away. Don't look at me right now. Just hear the voice. Avoiding, dismissing. I can't even look at what is there. I'm too fragile to look. And feel that. Now I want to offer you two more. I want you to feel what it feels like. And it's cool because it's mountain pose and yoga. Arms drop by the side. I am here. I am present. I am meeting what is as it emerges. I am here. I am present. I am meeting what is as it emerges. And also let's play just for a moment, trying on the multi-partiality practitioner. I can feel and choose. You can feel and choose. We can feel and choose. Feel what? Feel honestly, feel vulnerably, feel responsibly, feel accountably. Capacity to input and output feedback and grow into new spaces. So, whether you find yourself in fight, whether you find yourself in fawning, pleasing, whether you find yourself in freezing and withdrawing, whether you find yourself at ease or arms open, your distinct responsibility is to know where you are right now and to start to get those parts of yourself held by you compassionately and with care, to become aware of them and do something different. So as we go into a short meditation, a meditation inviting you to recognize and allow what emerges, I offer the words by Peter Block. We must establish a personal connection with each other and foremost with ourselves. Connection before content. Without relatedness, no work can occur. As we come into our bodies and breath, may a sense of ease and gratitude for this moment, for this breath, for this sensation of sitting with others, willing to risk and gather. May we soften into curiosity, willing to practice feeling, willing to practice noticing and allowing that which is there to be there, including ourselves. Willing to perhaps touch the armor that is underneath, increasing our capacity to be with what is in this world we find ourselves in and to interact with it. As we breathe, simply notice the thoughts that come up or the feelings, and in response, perhaps we say, I see you, I feel you, I hear you, I acknowledge you. I can feel and still choose. Allowing the body to talk. I see you, I feel you, I hear you, I acknowledge you. Allow your heart, your emotions to talk. I see you, I feel you, I hear you, I acknowledge you. You can feel and still choose. Allow your mind to talk. I see you. I feel you. I hear you. I acknowledge you. Allow your gratitude to talk. I see you. I feel you. I hear you. I acknowledge you. We can feel and still choose. Allow the wisdom and whispers of your wisdom to move and speak. What is something you want to make room for in your day today? Toward care, toward respect, toward dignity, worth, and awareness. From the Last Tao, I offer these words. A man with outward courage dares to die. A man with inner courage dares to live. How courageous is it then to invite in and uphold together the idea that I can feel and still choose. You can feel and still choose. we can feel and still choose.